My name is Ken Sheets, and I'm the Dean and Professor of Bible and Biblical Languages at Tabernacle Baptist Bible College and Seminary in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I've been using the biblical languages, both Hebrew and Greek, since they were first introduced to me in my seminary days in the early 1980s. Through the years, I've had many people ask me why I would study Hebrew and Greek or Aramaic and biblical languages and that sort of thing. And I even had one friend of mine, a very close friend, when I was in seminary studying the language, both languages, and he told me that, if you learn Hebrew and Greek and things like that, it's going to destroy your faith. But I'll just tell you, the exact opposite has happened. That's the exact opposite of what has occurred in my life, especially as I began to realize the nature of Hebrew. And then, as I found out later, the relationship between Hebrew and Greek. Because as I thought about things, it just only made sense that whatever God gave to Adam, whatever he built into Adam in that original creation when he brought the man into existence, everything that God brought into existence in Adam was not something that was secondary or of second quality or that had to be developed in order to become useful to man. It was built into Adam perfectly. It was a perfectly divine device, whatever it was. And that means that if God gave language, and he did, that's obvious, that Adam was able to understand and comprehend language from the very time when he was created. And thus, God would have given a perfect language to Adam. At the same time as I thought about it, and as I looked through the different scriptures, when I studied them in Hebrew especially, and then with Greek following, but when I studied them and I saw the things that were there, I saw all that God had incorporated into the Hebrew scriptures, things that I couldn't see clearly. This kind of thing, and seeing and knowing that there were men whom I loved and respected who had differing views on different parts of the scripture. They would interpret some things slightly different. And I just couldn't see that God was that way, that he just left it up to man to figure these things out for himself, and each one could have his own interpretation. So this drove me to seek to understand God, not from my English language perspective, but from the perspective of the language in which he gave his scriptures. And that language was Hebrew. And as I've studied even more through the years and seen through the years and thought about, I recognized that language, that Hebrew language, what we call Hebrew, was really the language that had originally been built into Adam. And thus, that perfect language had come down. God had preserved it and used it through the centuries, not to establish kings and kingdoms, but to be there, to be used by his people to record his revelation of himself. And when he did that, when God did that, God made Hebrew the absolute perfect, best language in which those scriptures would be written. It could not be improved by man or anything else. And when he used Greek in the New Testament, he did the same thing there. He made that language the absolute best, perfect for that part of his revelation. So now, seeing that, I find myself driven back to study more and more and more, to learn more of how he wrote and see in those words what God actually built into them, so that I can understand him and know him and walk with him more accurately. And thus, maybe he can just use me a little more in all that he's doing. That's the basis for why I study Hebrew. It's the language God used. It's the language God chose. And for that reason, there can't be any better. And I want to see God as he revealed himself in his original language as he wrote it.